What is going on, YouTube? I am Germ here. So, kind of a different video today. We're actually going to be talking about Immortals. I know, hold up, don't click away. I know Immortals is like one of the most boring teams in the LCS. I know they're coming off a last place finish in the spring split, but not even a last place finish like TSM had, where at least it was a train wreck, and at least we could like watch, and it was very entertaining and very interesting and an exciting last place. Or, you know, TSM fans will say, oh, we got ninth, we won the tiebreaker against Immortals, whatever. But Immortals was the much more boring kind of last place. But they have a little bit of drama going around. They have something that's getting fans, analysts, casters, like everyone riled up right now. And I think it's a story worth telling. And I think it's one that might fly under the radar a little bit. You know, I didn't see it on Reddit. I don't think there'll be like YouTube videos or anything made about that. And I love when I have the opportunities to tell some of these stories that are interesting, but flying under the radar a little bit. So I hope you guys do stick around for this one. Again, I'll try my best to make an Immortal story interesting. Definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy this one. I would appreciate that a ton. And subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Help us run those numbers up. That would be absolutely insane. With that being said, let's get right into this. So this story came across my eyes, whatever, from Tim Sevenheisen. Big fan of him. Really respect all the stuff he does. When he's upset about something, there might be some fire there, because he's a guy that's, you know, generally pretty even keel, generally pretty level-headed, you know, doesn't really get too emotionally caught up in things a lot of times, I don't think. And he is talking about this. You know, the CEO of Immortals has posted a brief statement on the team's subreddit, commenting on their spring results and their next step towards improvement for summer. So far, no acknowledgement or comment on two general managers quitting the org in the last 6 months. And that's kind of a whole nother story. That's not really even what we're going to be talking about in this, but this is something that Tim has brought up before, that there's been some high turnover rates over at Immortals. Like, is that because there's issues behind the scenes? Does Immortals suck to work for? Are they just a mess? Something weird's going on in Immortals, because like you said, they've gone through two general managers in the past 6 months. You know, they're about to be on their third, so really kind of strange. But it got this AMA across. You know, I would have never seen an Immortals AMA on the Immortals subreddit. I didn't even know Immortals had a subreddit. They have 1,200 subs on their subreddit. But anyway, we have this, and this is what really got people fired up. A word from Immortals CEO regarding Spring Split 2022 from Jordan Sherman. Again, apparently the CEO. I didn't know he was a CEO, but hey, he is. He says, you know, first want to thank everyone on this page for their passion for the LCS and the team. We appreciate your devotion to the org, desire to see us back on top. Even if you don't necessarily agree with some of the roster moves, it's totally okay. Part of the fan experience. You know, clearly Spring Split 2022 is not the result we had envisioned, so what do we do from here? He said, well, we can sit in the basement and be miserable, or we can learn from it and fight our way back to the top. So how do we learn from this? He said the first thing is we want to focus on, in order to learn from the Spring Split, is the inputs, not the outputs. I think that's fair. I think it's a good idea. That makes a lot of sense. You don't want results-based analysis, and, you know, those results aren't going to change unless, yeah, the inputs change. I think that makes a ton of sense. I like how he puts that. He's off to a good start in my book. He says, so how do we go about, you know, addressing these inputs? How do we get better at these inputs? So he said, so to do so, we've added a lot more daily infrastructure to our competitive staff and players. This includes daily objectives, grading each scrim, printing out player grades on their desk every morning, comparing players versus their previous performance, comparing players versus their peers, coaches creating office hours for one-on-one instruction, and diving deeper into the data in order to make the right decision making, and more. We are also pushing more accountability across the entire competitive organization in the formation of this reporting, scouting, roster decision, and the preparation required to even practice at a world-class level, yet alone play on stage at a world-class level. If we do this, we better evaluate the assets we have in our roster and in the org and best position the company on the big stage. Although we went 1 and 2 in the last Super Week, the staff actually feels that the added structure and accountability has already started to show some results and improvements. He goes into some of their goals and everything, but man, this has people upset. And you can see here, this first top comment goes into all the ways that people think this is so dumb and all the ways that people hate this. He replies, you know, and tries to kind of double down and back up his stuff. He gets -4 upvotes. He's feeling the heat. He's feeling the pressure. The thing that people have the biggest gripe with that I've heard from this so far, and I tend to agree with them, is this whole weirdness of we're going to grade your scrims, we're going to print out a report card, and we're going to put it on your desk every morning. Like, yes, I get what they're saying. That can show real time the players what we think about what they're doing. It can show the players in real time, how we feel everything's going, how we feel they're improving, how we feel about their play. It can hold them accountable, all these things. But also, very, very strange, very, very weird, very, very toxic. Now, I know there's a bunch of people coming in and being like, oh, well, Eastern players wouldn't have any problem with this. Eastern players would love this, and that's why they're so good. Like, okay, no. All the Eastern esports Andes coming in about all the different toxic things that the East does that, hey, maybe they win in spite of a lot of this stuff. But I'm not even going to have that discussion. That stuff is so stupid. But this whole thing is so weird. And this is what everyone was talking about on Twitter. This guy, he says, printing out players' grades on their desk every morning, comparing players versus their previous performance versus their peers. This does not sound healthy. Is this common practice? He asked some other people. And Raz, who, is a former coach, he says, nah, this is just dumb. What's the purpose of printing and posting a grade other than to shame? Especially, it'll be already clear to the player how they played or are progressing. It is upper management getting in the way of the team's operations for appearances. And that I absolutely agree with. I think this is all about optics. I think the coaching staff and management wants to do something. Their team just finished last. They're probably under some hot water. They're probably not super excited. And they can either accept that they didn't do a very good job, that the coaches, the roster, the staff, the things they're doing, the procedures, the processes suck and have sucked, and that's why this team sucked and underperformed, or they can say, hey, we're just going to do a bunch of random bullshit to make it look like we're doing something. And I absolutely agree that is kind of what's going on here, because one, I am a major advocate that practice is for practice. Practice is where you try stuff out. Practice is where you limit tests. Obviously, there are moments in practice and scrims that you need to take very seriously and play like a real game situation, and those things, you should be evaluated on to some extent. But I don't want all of my practice moments evaluated. I don't want all of my scrim moments evaluated. Scrims are where I'm trying to get better. It's where I'm trying to push myself to the limits. It's where I'm trying to practice. It's not games. It's not real situations. It's not where there's wins and losses on the line. It's not where championships are on the line, playoffs, anything like that. It's where we are trying to get better. And if you want players to be held accountable, then hold your players accountable. You have a coaching staff. You can meet with these players. You could sit down with your players once a week, once a day, whatever, and talk about, hey, here's how I think things are going. Here's what I'd like to see from you today. Here's what I think we should do. But to have these report cards or grades or whatever just sitting on their desk, staring them in the face, it's super weird. Like, whether you think it's toxic or not, which, I think that's up for debate. It's probably not healthy. It's probably toxic, whatever. I just think it's stupid. I think it is just bad. I don't even think it would be helpful. There's so many loopholes to it. Like, who's doing this evaluating? Who's doing this grading? What criteria do you use for different players, for different positions? It all makes pretty much no sense. And again, this constant evaluation and accountability, these are things that should already be baked into your team. This is what your coaching staff should be doing already. Super strange. And everyone's kind of coming in. Zale comes in, he's like, honestly, I think you're not taking it far enough. Your grade should dictate which food you can eat and how comfortable your pillow is for sleeping. If you get a C or below 2 days in a row, you must relinquish your shoe rights and go barefoot, get an F, and you sleep outside. I thought that was funny. This guy says, I'd love to be able to give management grades, and in fact, let's have a scouting grounds for management as well and give them grades at the end. That is hilarious, and that's also a very great point. This guy said it's also deeply ironic because everyone has commented that the primary problem Immortals has faced is coordination and cohesion. And yeah, I mean, they're trying to, ruin a lot of that stuff by making just a toxic environment. Yeah, I don't know. Super funny. Everyone says it's super weird. Everyone is coming out and memeing this. And again, I've been very vocal that so many of the LCS organizations, even some of the organizations that end up being very successful, are horribly managed. Terribly managed, have absolute people who do not deserve to be in these situations making decisions for them, people with no track record, no rights, no grounds to be leading or managing anything, let alone, world-class esports organizations or wannabe world-class esports organizations. And that's how you end up with so many weird situations. Esport is a tiny little bubble where the same people get recycled, the same people get regurgitated, their friends hire their friends, and you end up with just strange, weird-ass situations like this where you end up with yes men and stuff like, hey, they tweeted this stuff out, they posted it, and pretty much everyone instantly was like, wow, that's some of the stupidest shit I've ever heard. But there must have been a ton of people behind the scenes telling them, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Oh, yeah, let's do that. Oh, that's good. Or it never would have been implemented in the first place. Or you have a power structure that just lets people, single people make their own decisions. I don't know. Super, super weird. The LCS never disappoints. There's always another drama. There's always another story. And hey, I did my best to make an Immortals story interesting for you guys today. So hopefully you do appreciate that. Definitely drop a like if you did. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole story. Do you think the report cards are a good idea, bad idea? I don't know. Maybe you can change my mind. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everybody's wrong. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.